Live, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Crypto Gaming Institute podcast. My name is Ben, and today we have the co-founder of BlockchainRPG at Couldn't Deal. What's up, my man? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Dude, I'm so excited we get to chat today. I know you guys are one of the bigger games on Wax, so I'm really excited to kind of chat about that and your own history and how you really got in here. I know your son's in the room with you, so we might hear some wisdom from the toddler, which is always welcome. But yeah, anyways, would love to kind of hear your history of how you got to this point today. Obviously, you're a pseudonym, so don't have to get anything too revealing at all, but just some basic context for us so we really understand a little bit more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tommy and I have been friends since around 2017, and at that time we actually met on a crypto game called Crypto Bots or something or the other, and it was on the Ethereum chain, and that was pretty fun and all. But we ended up eventually getting kind of rug pulled, and that sucked, obviously. So we just kind of stayed friends for a while, and then one day, a couple years later, I messaged him. Well, have you checked out Wax? I mean, Wax is pretty cool. This is, you know, a lot easier to develop on than Ethereum or something else. And I was like, and we should maybe make a game. And he's like, that sounds great. Let's go ahead and do that. And so then we were kind of thinking about what kind of game do we want to make or whatever. And it was pretty simple right out the gate. Everybody loves an RPG, so so that's kind of what we went with.
Cool. Now, did you guys have any sort of like gamer history, or like did you grow up gaming, or like why a game in the first place? Why were you drawn to that?
Well, the main thing was, well, Tommy, he is a developer. He's been a developer for many like mobile games, and I've kind of done like front end developing with him as well. I'm not the best at developing. I'm more of the storyboard type and everything else that comes with the project aside from code. And so he has been a developer, and we said, well, we love games, and with crypto bots bringing to us was the first game on the chain. So we're like, this is really cool, and it really gives you a perspective of like, you own while you're playing the game, you own it, and that was like new to us, and we really wanted to do that both in RPG.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. Um, I want to kind of dive into this idea of choosing Wax. I know you guys got rug pull before, but what about Wax really cemented for you? Like, okay, this is where we need to be. This is where we need to go. Like, why them over other chains specifically?
Well, so the only other experience we had really was Ethereum and the ERC20 tokens or whatever, and that wasn't Wax and NFTs are like, I mean, that's what they are. It's what it is. It's like the perfect uh, symbiotic relationship between the two things that we need to have happen. And so when we decided to make an RPG, we really wanted to have items are going to be a main thing, equipment is going to be a main thing. All of these things need to have some sort of backbone, and that would be NFT. And so with Wax being what it is, it was an obvious choice, an absolute obvious choice. And then it came with all the benefits. The development was easy. The way it works with not using, Ethereum has their gas prices and whatnot. It's cheap, it's fun, it's reliable. It's just an awesome choice. And any developer that wants to do something, a project, a simple project, a personal project, a hobby project, I would suggest Wax. Absolutely.
Yeah, right on. And so let's kind of dive into how you guys really got some initial traction. If I'm seeing correctly, seems like you guys have close to over 10K, 10,000 users every month coming to the platform, and seems like you guys have close to 2 million transactions on your smart contracts on a monthly basis. So, first of all, like maybe you could tell us a little bit about like what sort of traction you're really getting. Oh, and then another interesting stat that I found just doing a little bit of research, and you guys was you have like hundreds of thousands of visits to your website every month. Those are awesome numbers, and maybe you can kind of tell me a little bit about like how accurate those are, and then how you really scaled up to that. Because one of the biggest issues that most projects have is they cannot get any freaking traction, and they don't know how to get traffic and users. So you guys have kind of cracked the code there, and would love to just understand like how you did it.
Well, with that, I mean that it sounds awesome. Everything like that is awesome, for sure. And I feel bad because we didn't crack a code. We didn't do anything, to be honest. I would say we got insanely lucky. Our team grew organically. We decided to do so. I guess let me take it back to the beginning. Um, all we did was go on to DAP Radar. That's all we had to do from the beginning. And so we developed a game. We had it just straight browser. We were playing it, and it's same features it has now, essentially. And we wanted to have more than the handful of players that we had handpicked. We've handpicked some friends from our communities. So we had about 30 players daily, I guess, playing our game. And we kind of wanted to go open. So that's why we can say we're in beta, technically. We're technically still pre-alpha, but we said beta because the way it works is that we wanted to have an open source to community members. And so what we ended up doing is rebuilding the game in Unity, putting it up. We had a website, whatever's working with the website. But we said all of you guys can invite your friends, and it's an open beta. Everybody can play, and we're going to continue to develop the game while everyone's playing. And so that trickled in maybe about 50 players, not anything crazy. But as soon as we hit DAP Radar, then our Discord went from like 100 people to thousands, and like within a week. And we're like,
Wow.
oh my goodness, what do we do? So we had to put all of our development on pause and really start focusing on how we can scale the amount of players. We actually had a very horrible situation in which we ran out of our smart contract, ran out of resources, and like players were being very generous and like staking to our contract. I'm like, you don't have to do that. We're gonna get it figured out. And so we ended up figuring it out, but it was just the growth was insane, and we had nothing to do with it. I mean, we had a very obvious thing from the start is we don't want to advertise, we don't want investments, we don't want to do any big sales of legendary cards that you could potentially use in the future. No, we don't want to do any of that because we got rug pulled, and we don't want to have anything to do with that kind of situation. So we just wanted a game that we could play, that we enjoyed, and so we just made one. And then when we kind of got bigger, we pulled in some more help. We got a buddy here, got a buddy here. Our team is built of pretty close knit people. And then we started all working together on not only the game, but the website. And the website, at first, I don't know, I guess I could find some old pictures for you eventually, but it wasn't good. It looked really bad, horrible. But then we're like, you know what? Let's just reskin it and make it look good. So we did, and then we spent probably a month straight just making it, grabbing the things we needed, player support tickets, the FAQ, a working FAQ, just the pages, and then when we put up an update or like a blog, right? We wanted to make sure that all of these pages are also intertwined with each other because we want that click on everything, not just to one page where they click play, try out our game. We wanted to see them or give them information that they can utilize, and then also like see on the sidebar, oh, hey, this is more information I want to see. And we just really want to take the player's perspective and give it to them in our game and any experience they have with us, because we're gamers ourselves. Like, we're not a professional company at all. Like, we've become what we become learning and running into challenges and stuff that, we it's hard to explain, because like this all happened to us like organically. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's amazing. I feel like people don't particularly know what you mean simply because not that many people have done it. I mean, you
That's
guys are really
true.
pioneers.
That's so true. And I feel bad too, because there's so many awesome projects out there that have a great, idea. The idea itself is like, that's pretty cool.
Mm,
But at some point, someone decides to get greedy, or make a decision that's not, necessarily the best. But instead of fixing it, just ending the whole project, or just stopping. You know, and we've seen that time and time and time again, where it's like, okay, well, with us, we're just making a game. You know, and we get complaints just like any other, company or whatever that does this stuff. Is, oh, your currency is worthless or something. Well, yeah, it's going to be worthless. We're not aiming to have it be worth anything now. If you're making money right now off of this version of the game, you're doing a great job, because there's nothing here. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So we run in this daily, and we're more focused on anti-bots. Getting all the fun foundation stuff out of the way right now. And we recently did just that, where we were able to track. Like, we had an issue, a very kind of funny issue, where one of our endpoints, or all of our endpoints, our servers essentially got got they somehow got shut off, so no human players could play the game. But if you're playing through the chain, as like bot farms do, they were still playing. So we immediately accidentally got a full list of people we could ban. And so we're like, all right, here we go. And then we just banned probably a couple thousand accounts. And so you'll see in there, our player numbers
Mhm.
are like 10K a month or so, but we actually have around, I would say, 1,500 to 2,000 players daily.
Mhm.
And they're pretty dedicated, and a lot of them are active in chat and our Discord. And I engage with the players all the time. And it's just a really fun community that we've built. And it's just a single project that started off as a hobby that's growing into like, more than that, I guess. Like, people like the game. People love the game. We get messages and stuff saying like, your game's super fun. I do everything I can to play this game all day, and it's like, that's what you want to hear.
Mhm.
Like, the whole point of this project is for us to play it. But if you like it too, I mean, we're winning, and we're not even close to being done.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about this idea of you guys building what you wanted to play and then feeling like you got a little bit lucky with some of the things that went on. I personally think it takes more than luck. Like, yes, maybe you got lucky and you got on DApp radar, and so you got some of the some traffic early on. But if you're not good enough and you can't handle that traffic, then it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, so it maybe it is partially luck, but you just happen to be in the right place. But you also did all of you put in all the effort to like capitalize on that, which is a pretty big deal as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to underplay how important all of your hard work is.
I mean, I get that, and I appreciate that too. And a lot of it is my partner, the founder, or one of the founders, I guess, Tommy. He is the main full stack developer, and we have just recently brought on more developers. But for the first, I mean, the entirety of the game so far has been about one guy. I did a lot of developing for like the UI and some basic stuff at first, but then I transitioned into pretty much handling every other aspect of what we need to handle aside from actual development of the game. So our meetings consist of brainstorming, throwing up ideas, then trying to break them down. Like, so if, say like you propose an idea to us, like, and we have a channel for that in our Discord where players propose ideas.
Hmm.
We'll bring one up and we'll say, okay, why is this a bad idea? Well, what do you mean? Like, well, how can we exploit it? How can we break it? What things will break our game, economy wise, future? 6 months down the road, will it still be a viable option to use this as a feature in our game, right? And by looking at it kind of backwards,
Hmm.
it makes it a lot easier to choose some of the things that we want to implement to the game. For example, when we had uh, new players in the game would die a lot. We never ever wanted to add a free heal feature to the game, but it was a necessity. They didn't have access to potions. They didn't have access. You needed a hunt. It was a catch-22. So we added the free heal potion or the free heal to the game. And then one day, and we just put a timer on it. It was like 25 minutes or something. Where you
Hmm.
could free heal after every 25 minutes. Then one day we decided, well, this is so easy for bots to use that we're going to put a cap on it. And we put a cap on it to 5 uses a day. Now, you should have seen the blowback we've gotten from that. Like, we ruined the game. It's a dead game now. It's over. Because we put a because we put a cap on this free heal. And the ironic part is that unless you are actually like the top 1% dedicated players, you're never going to hit that 5 heal. You're going to play the game as casual
Hmm.
as you want, but you're not going to hit that marker. And if you do, congrats. But it's just we get blowback for every thing we do. And you're right. What you said is that you need to handle it. And I guess that's not lucky. That's how we are. It's like we will handle it. What you say to us doesn't mean anything because this is still our hobby project. We're building this still for us. Yes, we want you all to come along and enjoy the journey. This is a great journey,
Hmm.
but it's not like we're going out there to make money. And I think that right there is the main difference between us and a lot of other people is you'll see a lot of projects pop up and just try to make as much capital as possible in the littlest time possible. And we don't want to do that. The only money we've made, actually, and this is a sidebar, if you notice, our game doesn't have a rev stream. We don't have any income. The only way we've made money is through some pack sales that we've advertised as, helping the developers. We put those sales up, and we've only done about 3 of them, and we were able
Wow.
to keep ourselves somewhat above water, trying to do this. But eventually, we're gonna need a rev stream, and that's inevitably gonna make them mad. You know what I mean? So, but we're ready for that. And if our numbers plummet down to even 1,000 a day, or a month or whatever, even 500, 250, we're ready for
Hmm.
that because that's where we feel we should be. It just so happens that 5,000 people want to play our game. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So we enjoy the company, but we know we are very early in development and we have so many plans for the game, future plans for the game. Right? I don't want the game to be a click hunt game. I want it to be where you and your friends can go out into dungeons, go fight stuff together, encounter a boss, kill it, an actual RPG experience with an interactive battle where you can use your health potions during the battle, and then buff up your allies and take turns. That's what I want.
That's awesome. So so how do you then balance this idea of, and I want to focus on monetization for a second because it's critical. It's absolutely critical to the health and the ability to continue building because at some point it gets critical to be able to expand and do the cool things you want to do to have some sort of monetization built in there. So how are you thinking about that, and how are you kind of building with that in mind, knowing that it is coming at some point, but you want to? It seems like you guys are putting the game first, but you still need to have this monetization piece. Like, how are you thinking about that? How are you trying to build with that in mind?
Yeah, so pretty much every meeting, there is a section dedicated to how we're going to do it. And there's a couple routes that you can take, and that's the continued free to play route where it's free to play, but you'll have a bonus. If you play like a monthly fee or something along the lines of like a reoccurring charge, and then you get slight bonuses to the game where it's not pay to win, but it's a little easier on you. That's one route. Another route is a very common one that you'll see on like the Wax Network is that you buy into it. You buy an NFT that is a flat rate that allows you to gains access to the game, you know, and that's fine too. But what we're looking at, and like you stated, is that we want to fill everything that we can do without moving forward because it is going to be expensive. We know that, bringing on the new developers and stuff. We know that it's going to get spendy, especially with our anti-bot or anti-cheat system that can handle. We have to pay so much money in transactions alone, and it's like we got it for now, and we're ready to move forward. But we want to make sure that we have all of our ducks in the row to move forward. And when we do, we want to make sure it's the right way because like there's 3-4 different ways we can monetize the game, and me personally, I don't want it to be break the wallet at all. And that's another big thing too that we run into is that in a conventional game like say World of Warcraft, people can justify $15 a month. Now, if we did $15 a month, that may seem expensive, but you can also make money off of our game. So it kind of feeds into well, if you play it long enough, you could pay for your sub. But then again, do we want to do a sub? You know what I mean? So there's so many aspects of it that we don't know right now what we want to pull the trigger on, but we do have documents and meeting minutes based on probably 3 or 4 different ways to monetize, and we might cherry pick from each one, until we get a smooth transition into um, into some sort of rev stream. I do know that we are gonna make it. I guess this is an exclusive, sneak peek, but some good or bad news, I guess, however you take it. We are going to require character cards to play, and this isn't a move forward. It's more of a kind of restrict access to the game so that we don't have to spend more of our resources on focusing on bots and cheaters and things like that, where we can have just kind of a VIP access, kind of a closed beta again, but but it also kind of brings in some money. So, but it's not going to be a permanent thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's more like you just kind of want to test a few things out, see what works, see what doesn't, and try, but always keeping the game in mind is like the focus is on the game, but monetization has to come at some point.
Right, absolutely. And that's exactly how we all feel is that we need to make sure the game's working, healthy, and that, it comes first. It always comes first because it's without it and without the community, we have nothing. So, we don't want to bail out at any point. We want to have this thing grow into what it should be, what it should become.
Right on. So let's talk a little bit about this idea of building what you wanted and then opening that up to everybody else. What lesson here? What lesson do the games need to take from this that are building right now? And maybe the angle we can understand this from is there is a significant amount of there's a significant amount of play to earn focus instead of play and earn focus where
Right.
yes, it may be a subtle shift and I may be accused of just being on my a grammar police or something, but like if you really think about it, it's a pretty big shift in mentality. So how do you what lessons do we need to learn from this, and how do you really think about it? And would love to hear your thoughts.
So one of the main things that we've learned from this project is if we say we decided to do this same project off chain, just completely off chain, our game would probably be at where I envision it now. But because we have to work with the chain, that brings in monstrous issues, right? Security issues that we need to implement. For example, if we want to have a interactive battle, right, where you go in, you fight a monster, it's kind of like Pokemon or Final Fantasy, right? That alone is going to cost, or not even cost, but you're going to do how many transactions to the chain over and over and over again. And now we want to do it in a smooth way, condense it, bringing everything together, kind of like Axie Infinity and other ways where there's a little bit of both, where you guys can play it where it feels smooth, but in the back end, it's still doing all those transactions, all those calls and making it work properly. But because of that, and like, for example, items, every item either needs to be an NFT or a token. Well, we can't have just a bunch of them, because if one becomes obsolete, well, then it's worthless. And now we have it forever out there, right? So we have to always focus on, will it have a use, and will it always have a use? And it's just, there's so many things that we've learned by doing it chain instead of just a normal mobile app, and that's the main one. And then also to your point with play to earn, play and earn, I love that. I'm going to use that now, because there's a huge distinction, that there's a huge difference between the two. And I think people should really try to go into the projects as a play and earn. You're gonna play your game. Imagine going back in the day. I'm kind of a boomer. I mean, I don't know how old everybody else is, but I'm 30 years old. Back in my day, RuneScape, MapleStory, Ultima Online, awesome games to me.
Those games were amazing.
Just great
Of
games.
course.
Now imagine your items are worth something. That's what fires us up. That's why we made BlockchainRPG. Is because if your items are worth something, like imagine going to the Grand Exchange and being able to pay your bills afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we want. Maybe not to the fullest extent of paying bills, but get some extra change in your pocket. Show off your cool stuff. You get a legendary item. I mean, show it off. That's what it's there for. You could just have it in your wallet on some exchange, or in game you could literally show it off. In chat you could show it off. Whatever you got to do. But that's what we want to do with it, is that you can not only just own your NFTs, but utilize them in more than one way.
Yeah, I love that. I often think back to those types of games, and I always think, like, what else can we learn from them? Like, obviously they have to be fun as fuck. It has to be unbelievably socially driven, like where you're not just like on an island doing random stuff
Right.
without having any interaction with other people. Like, it is a um it's like a, I don't know, it's supposed to be, we're social animals, like we're supposed to play together with other people. So, like, I don't know
That's
what did you
true.
try to take from those, other games? And
Mainly, yes, I mainly is co-op gameplay that you play with your friends. You want to, or even if it's not in the same instance. For example, with Adventure Quest, when I was younger, I'm sure you're aware of that game, Battlon.com. Adventure Quest. I would LAN party that game. Now, it's a single player game. It's a flash play. You're not playing with your homies, but me and 5 other people would all have our computers in the same room. But we felt like we were playing together, because we were going on these adventures, and we'd go deeper in this one mission and further than the other guys, and say, okay, look, if you do this, like, it felt inclusive of everyone. And that's the main part that I like, is co-op gameplay. Now, once you start throwing PvP in there, you automatically have a divide. And then you get people who are toxic and think they're better than everyone else. it just sucks. So that's exactly what I said earlier, is that when I want people to log in, I want them to go out with their friends and do dungeons together in a co-op thing. And you look at one of my best experiences from Ultima Online. I log in there, and this man, some random guy's like, hey, come with me, I want to show you something. And he just throws down a portal. Like, what? What is that? That's cool. It's a portal. Like, what? So let's go. We go through it. Well, he had saw me taming like a squirrel or something. I'm level 1. I'm trying to tame a squirrel or a fox or something. So he brings me through this portal, and we get there, and there's a dragon. I'm like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life. He's like, one day you'll be able to tame that if you keep at taming those squirrels. I'm like, thank you. And that I will never forget, because that was so cool. And that was just a simple, why did he do that? He didn't have to do that. What was he busy? It didn't matter. But he took his time out to look at some noob and be like, hey, what you're doing, you keep doing it, this is what's going to happen. And I think that is the most badass thing I've ever seen in my life. And I take that. Same with like Maple Story. Maple Story, you want big numbers. You want better items to get bigger numbers. That's all that game is. You
Hmm.
know, and the same could go for with blockchain RPG. The more you play, the better the gear you get, the further you can go on. Yeah, we only have 2 maps right now, but who's to say we won't have 10, new game plus, whatever, later on down the line. That's the replayability, the progression is our main goal. But I think from the old games, you have that camaraderie of gamers who want to explore things but share their experiences, not just try to 360 no scope, crank 90s. Like that's different. And I think we've lost that with a lot of today's games. So
Yeah, that's such a good point. So I love the idea of like working together, and I think it's just obvious where the world's going. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but it just seems like everybody's going to be playing more games. We have billions of gamers worldwide, whether it be console, PC, mobile, etc. And as humans get less and less, as we get more, let me frame it a different way. As different basic technologies bring down our cost of living and energy becomes cheaper, food becomes cheaper over time through technology, we're going to need to work less as people. And what are we going to do when that time is given back to us? Or, just people who have figured out what they want to do and have made enough income to where they don't have to like focus every single day on working, 16 hours a day unless they really want to. My thesis is we're all going to play games more because it's just a natural, basic human function. And
well, that's
I'm
the
just
bridge, isn't it? Like that's what
right.
this is. It's the bridge. And you're absolutely right. There, I mean, we've seen this in what is it called? Dot hack sign, right? Back in the day, I mean, older anime, um, but that is something that people are going to have get to a point where what do you do with your time, and you want to spend it. And there's plenty of people who love to work. I love to work. Everyone likes to work. Some people don't, but that doesn't mean they're not working. If you're sitting there drawing or painting, that's your passion. That's work. Me building this game and playing it, that's work. So you don't have to. A lot of people like to belittle people for what they do as a passion, but I mean, it depends on what happens. Like the more we get to an autonomous, you know, way of life where we do have robotics coming into the workplace, like it or not, that's happening. I've worked factory for the past 10 years, and I saw many lines that had 10, 20 people on them in a production line, and now it's a robot. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it works, and the big companies are going to do that because it saves them money. But then again, you could look at the good use of that is the like you said, the further we get, the cheaper things are, the more the cost of living goes down. It'll all eventually even out, and I hope that my this right here that we're building is one of those very OG in future's mind crappy games. I hope they see this as a crappy game, but a goodie but oldie. You know what I mean? Like how I look back at Maple Story or Battle on Adventure Quest. They're
Or
not great,
RuneScape.
or RuneScape. Yeah, they're old but they're good, and they might not have the graphics of what we have today, or the ability of play that we have today, but the foundation is there, and that's exactly right. We have the bridge between the two, the work and the play, the money and the it's not all about money, but that's what we're all here for. We kind of have to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And what's going to be interesting, I think, is the transition from where we are now to that time. And I think the people who are going to win in whatever game we're playing, whether it be the game of success of just building something that's impactful, making the most money, whatever, blockchain and crypto and video games and the metaverse, like this is the place to be. and this is kind of the ultimate opportunity of our lifetimes. I mean, I'm 27, you're 30. Like,
Yeah,
we're still relatively young, but not young enough to where we can let something like this pass us by. So I think this is kind of like the opportunity that everybody our generation has been looking for, and it's the revolution of our age.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think you could look at the most positive thing from when we were kids. You know, uh, I I guess I how can I explain this? When we were kids, we were just introduced to everyone having a computer at the home, right? Like they were accessible, early '90s, late '80s to everybody, but you had to be wealthy. Whereas late '90s to early 2000s, it was pretty common for at least one computer to be in the home of every household. And from that, look where we are today, where everything you have is a computer. Your phone is such a computer. I mean, my baby monitors now, after having children, are so smart. Like I can have this little chip, this little tiny circle thing that when my son was a firstborn, that I put it on his shirt, and it would tell me his heart rate and everything like that just by placing it on his clothing. You know what I mean? And that's how he slept with it. Like the advancement in technology is so crazy and so fast. Like we have what 20 years of our of this. You Ultima Online came in like '98, and now we're in 22. So like that time frame, you just do that again, but from where we are now with like the metaverse becoming a thing and NFTs becoming a thing, we are going to see insane leaps and bounds 20 years from now of all of this coming. And then not only that, but it's so much more accessible and easier to develop. If you want to become a game developer, if you want to do that in 2002, 2003, you're not doing it. That wasn't a thing. Today, you have all of the resources in the world. You can get a full degree, everything you want at your fingertips. You have all the world's knowledge at Google. Like it's all available today, and because of that, these leaps and bounds of this next generation of technology, it's just going to be wild. And I'm so jealous for my children. Like,
Well, we also have a lot of breakthroughs coming in anti-aging. So you and I may be like right on the cusp of being able to stick around for a little bit longer than we may think we are as of today. But anyways, yeah, I completely agree, and I'm just so excited for the future of technology. I kind of want to drill into what you just said about if you're looking for the opportunity, and if you wanted to develop a game, for example, there's so many ways to like get in it. I feel like this is the question everybody's asking themselves right now. uh, and I think this is how the conversation is going in people's minds. I see this opportunity. I recognize that if I wait too long, it's going to pass me up, and I I can't stand the thought of missing the opportunity, but I'm not exactly sure how to play it, all pun
mm.
intended, or like what to do to
Well,
best take advantage of it. Like, how do you respond to that in a really actionable way?
my advice, and this might sound like a joke at first, but my advice to aspiring game developers or someone that has an idea and wants to make it a reality, in my experience, there are two types of developers. There's the logical and the creative, right? So if you look at Tommy and I, Tommy is the most logical. It has to work, the best way possible. Refine all the, he's very anal about how it's done. Where I'm creative, and I want to see the end picture, how whatever. So I'll build this creative model. I'll paint the picture, and then he'll wire it up. You know what I mean? Like for example, for the game in the very first stage, I made the UI. I put everything where it's supposed to go. I added the buttons and all the things that needed to happen. And then he
Mhm.
went in and coded it all together, strung everything up, made it work. Now, to advice to anyone that's looking to develop, if you're pull up Unity or Unreal and you're following all the tutorials and you're coding, and but you have all these ideas that just don't seem fun, they're not good, maybe team up with an artist person, like a person with a different vision, and you guys work together and bounce ideas off each other on how to improve it, because that is the only way. You can have an idea, but you don't know if it's bad or good. You think it's good, or you might think it's bad until you share it, and then you get a hive mind of feedback. That's when you know if something's good or not. And you just got to look forward and don't give up. Like, that's the main thing. Like, Tommy and I, we've given up plenty of times. We've tried multiple projects. We made an app that was like a cookie clicker, but with like animal poop for kids.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, to someone. but so when we go into developing like a game like this, um, you just want to have your heart into it, but like, make sure you know it's your hobby, and that you can't put all your eggs in one basket. Like, there is a luck factor. Like it or not, there is a luck factor. You could have all the right things, but something might not align up properly, and you might miss the bus. But don't give up. You know what I mean? There might be another bus. So
So
I guess,
you're actually saying go out and build something, and whatever you have in your mind, try to turn that into something that exists, like the
yeah.
entrepreneurial side.
I mean, yeah. Like what all we did to get where we are today is do it. Like, I literally messaged Tommy and said we should make a game on Wax. He's like, that sounds like a good idea. Then we sat down, talked about it, and just started doing it. And we continued to do it. And the next thing you know, 2 months of doing it, I think that's all it was, is 2 to 3 months. Next thing you know, we have 6,000 people in our Discord after 2.5 months, 3 months of development, because we stuck to it. We had an idea in mind, but we didn't get distracted with all the smoke and mirrors bullshit. We don't want to do any of that. We just stuck to the project. That's it. And I think that's what anyone else should do. Is that if you have a project, if you have an idea, even if you have an idea for a new altcoin, a shit coin or whatever, but it's like unique in a little way, try it out. Worst thing that happens, it doesn't work. But you gained experience while developing it. You learned new things while developing it. You know what I mean?
I love that. I love that. So, oh, that's so inspiring. Because I feel like a lot of people are thinking, oh, I can't do it. I want to listen to some YouTube videos, check out a couple podcasts, put in $5 to this one thing, and then become a mega trillionaire. But like, it takes work to actually make some real gains most of the time, unless you just get entirely lucky, in which case none of that stuff actually even matters. Like, you're probably the luckiest person in the world, so just tap into that more. But like, for most people, like, the path to wealth or to creating something meaningful is to go after something like that. And maybe it's a game. Maybe it's maybe it's a podcast. Maybe it's something else. But whatever it is, I think what you're saying is like, just give it a shot, because you never really know what's going to happen unless you actually try.
Right. Yeah. And then another best thing about that is, like, say you do make something like a simple prototype, and it failed. Right? It failed. It was your first one. It sucks. And you put that on your desk. Say 20 years later, you're like insanely successful. You can always look back at that first thing you tried. Hey, at least you went through and did it. You finished it. And you can always look at that and say, this is the first one I did. Yeah, it didn't work, but I didn't give up. And that's all you need to do, is never give up. Now, you're not going to become rich. You're not going to get super rich, just by trying all the time. No, that's not the point. The point is, you had a vision, you had an idea, and you made it a reality. Now, is there a bonus to that? Does that come with money inflow? Sure, it might. But that, again, that's not the point. You want to make something that you envision as, like, this is pretty cool. I want to share it with people. That's all you got to do. And if it comes with money, good on you.
I love that. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about, for those who are, maybe they're just not entrepreneurial in nature, and they have no desire to start something, but they really want to join a team that's on the up and up, and they want to be like an early startup employee or early startup team member or
Yeah.
something. How would you suggest, being somebody that is the co-founder of an early startup, um, what do you really look for in somebody who wants to be that employee or be early on, and what do those people need to do in order to justify being able to earn enough of a stake to like actually hit it big if the project hits it big?
Yeah. So with not being like the conventional, startup, it's literally our first rodeo. Like
Hmm.
we don't know the best way of things, but like I said earlier, is that our team did grow organically. One of our greatest team members, his name's Doc Charles. He came in as just a nice guy in our community. That's all he was. As just a nice guy in our community, helping people out left and right. And I reached out to him and said, "Do you want to be like a Discord moderator or something? Just something simple, something nice." And he's like, "Yeah, sure." Boom, he comes, does that. Well, then he started helping out more, and I was like, "Well, how about you become the like lead moderator? And then you can join us on our sit downs for our meetings and stuff." He eventually then laid out his true skill set of like what he could actually bring to the table. I'm not going to go into it, but let me just say that this guy is very, very educated, very well off. But he didn't open up with that. Like, look what I could do. I could do all this stuff for you. Hire me. No, like he became part of the team, by truly helping out and wanting the project to succeed. And I guess kind of got his way in. But that's not like the only way to do it. That's just one way to do it. Another way to do it is that if you do have a specific skill set, I would suggest, seeing, say there's a project that you want to join that's a startup. Like, what kind of issues are you running into right now? What kind of walls do you have? Let me see if I can help you try to solve one, and then see if you can. If you can, I guarantee you they'll want you on the team, because if you can do one problem fix, there's more you can you can tackle. You know what I mean? Um, and these are just simple things that we're running into right now. Is that um, if we have a simple a problem and someone steps up, like doesn't interject themselves into the situation, but steps up to literally assist, genuinely assist the project, then yeah, we obviously want them on the team and to move forward. And I can say that every one of our team members is that they all care, they all have a heart. Our graphics designer, this man, lives in Venezuela, right? He is insane with what he does, and we overpay the crap out of him because he deserves it. His dream is to come to America. We're gonna make that happen. Like, I don't care.
Wow.
We're getting him here. His name's Juan. He When I was looking for an artist, I actually passed him up. I literally passed him up, and I went back to him. I said, "Can you do one more? Can you try again?" Something about his art. I was like, "It's good, but can you do what we need?" And he's like, "Absolutely. This is what you want. I got you." And within like 20 minutes, he comes back with a full art of a sword that was super exactly how we needed it. I'm like, "You're hired." And he gave me a number. He's like, I want to be paid this much per piece. And
Hmm.
I doubled it. I was like, "No, that's not, you're better than that." And it's not about the money, but he was passionate about what he does.
Mm.
And he wanted to be on the team so bad because it's, like you said, a startup, a game, he's like, "I always wanted to be on this type of team." And he said that in his initial stuff, and he really stepped up and showed it. And that right there will get you through any door. Is that if you can show that you are genuinely passionate about it, if you want to do it, you're a part of it. That's why the 9 to 5s don't work too well for everyone, because they don't want to be there. They're just there for a paycheck. Like,
Right. Right. That's such a good. That's such a good piece of advice. Is like if you care about something and you want to be a part of it, like go in and be a part of it. I mean, there's nothing.
exactly.
There's nothing stopping you. You may not. You may not get in and become, the director of marketing or whatever like day one, but chances are, if you participate and actually help out and solve problems, either you're going to learn how to do that and you can take that to a different opportunity, or the people that are running it or in charge, if they care enough and they see you really helping out, like really good talent is hard to find and hard to keep. So the
Right.
people that are smart and they're trying to retain talent and they recognize that you have talent, like they're gonna try to snap you up, and it won't take that long for them to recognize that you have a lot of value to provide if you really do have that value.
Exactly, and that's so true. And if there's anyone, like, if you're listening and you're wondering, man, I'm not. I don't feel worth. I don't feel like I can do enough. Part of that is work culture. If my guys do something good, I'm telling them, like, I appreciate you, man. That's exactly what I was looking for. I love it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's too many times where people go to work and they bust their ass for, however long, and all they want to hear from their boss is "good job, man," and they don't even get that. And so, if I don't let that deter you, go for a project that, if if you're going to be passionate about it, to try to interject yourself in that in a nice way, in an organic way, then they're going to absorb you in an organic, nice way as well. They're not going to be those type of people. They're not going to be the people that ignore you. They're going to be the people that open arms, like, let's go, let's work together, and let's do this. And
Mm-hmm.
those are the environments and the projects that succeed, and the only ones that succeed.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Let's talk a little bit about your vision of the future of the metaverse and crypto gaming. Who do you see, like, who's going to be the big winners, and what are those people going to do differently from everybody else? And the reason I asked it that way is because there's a combo of gamers, builders, and investors that all listen to the pod. And I feel like we're all kind of that also. And so it's really helpful to like get perspective from somebody in there doing it and building one of the games that has more traction than 99.9% of the rest of the market. So like, what are you seeing as far as who's going to be winners in the
Mm.
coming metaverse crypto gaming revolution?
Well, I would be kind of biased to that, because my absolute dream to humankind, is being able to upload my consciousness, and we would need every single one of those people, every avenue. That's any project that could be contributed to the metaverse or anything like that would be accepted and awesome in it. If I uploaded my consciousness, hypothetically speaking, and that is the true metaverse. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm gonna want to do or learn whatever I want. So any project that they could bring up, that, music or art, NFTs, business, trading. Is there going to be trading in there? Whatever is going to be there. Like, I love it all, and I don't know if there's going to be just one winner or two, like, you know, just champion. I don't think that could even be possible, because you're going to see them all jumping off each other's back, getting further, climbing up each other and getting further. And I just I hope it's competitive, but in a positive way, where you know you can launch off of each other over and over and over again. Because I mean, that's what we did. I mean, we played a game that was frankly bad. Like, we wanted to do something, so we made something, I guess, technically better. But that goes for a lot of these projects, man. Like, I mean, look at crypto in general, man. I was mining Bitcoin in high school for a project, and my conclusion was that I spent more in electricity than I did mining, so it's not worth it. And I had thousands of Bitcoin,
Oh.
and I mean, I don't like to tell that story, but I love to tell that story, because
Mhm.
it doesn't mean I'm going to be a billionaire. If as soon as that hit $1, I would have sold it. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm in high school, and I mean, that's exactly what we did. To be honest, we were in high school and we got enough money to buy a video game. So each, me and my buddy who were mining it, and so we sold and bought games. But that's because that's how it works. The only way you're ever going to become a billionaire is if you forgot that you have a wallet somewhere and it just so happens to have a shit ton of money in it. That's it.
That's hilarious.
So,
Um,
but
well,
yeah,
that's
back to your
fascinating.
question. Yeah, back to your question. I just hope that everyone who has even ones that aren't popular right now. You might revolutionize a whole new avenue of fun and activity, and they should just chase it, man. Just like I said earlier, do it. What's the worst that can happen? Like, it doesn't go anywhere. What if someone looks back on that and says, like, hey, that's a great idea. I'm going to build on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. By the way, on the idea of uploading human consciousness to, it sounds like uploading it to the cloud. Like
Right.
Because then you could live forever as your consciousness. And anyways, there's actually and I read about this a year or two ago, so I haven't followed up on it. But there was this Russian billionaire who created something called the 2045 initiative, and literally the whole goal was to be able to upload human consciousness by the year 2045.
I like him
So
already.
yeah. So I mean, maybe there's a way. I mean, maybe we should reach out to him and show him this episode and see if he
I mean, if he needs a volunteer, I mean, I absolutely. If I'm ever on my deathbed or whatever, and like, take me.
yeah.
Do it.
I mean, why not at that point? That would be
Yeah.
amazing to be able to like float around or do whatever as a digital consciousness and exist in perpetuity. Hopefully we would have the ability to, like, if we really wanted to, turn ourselves off or something, or like
Right.
hibernate or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you don't want forced consciousness if you have
Right.
no desire, because that's just torture. But like, aside from the obvious torture that could happen there, the idea of being able to preserve humanity and preserve all of our intelligence and wit and creativity, and then just from like a human life perspective and quality of life perspective, like all of our relatives, we would have the opportunities to like meet them in the
Yeah. And
metaverse.
let me interject there really quick with the creativity part. Now imagine this, right? You upload yourself, and you're in a blank space white room, right? But I've developed a developer kit, and I've given it to you, and now you have a full developer kit at your fingertips that you can not only sit there and learn, play, but build with. And now you can take your uploaded consciousness area and run with it, whatever you want. Think of like Ready Player One, how there's so many avenues of games
Right.
that everyone wants to do. It's like the same kind of concept, but like, say you want to make this like crazy cool, artist rendition world of like some fantasy universe, and people can come check it out and hang out. That's literally what the metaverse is right now. People are building their own little worlds, and people are hopping in and hanging out. And all right, I'm gonna hop somewhere else and hang out somewhere else. And the same thing can go for if you had a developer kit as an uploaded consciousness. You're not restrained by any uh
Anything.
any imbalance in brain chemicals or whatever. You're just you, and you're able to just do what you want and rock it. And who cares if it takes 10,000 years?
Right. Because it wouldn't, like, that wouldn't matter,
Right.
because you're there forever, and you get to just like exist in whatever existence that you want.
Just some Futurama shit where it's gonna roll back, and that's how the whole universe existed. Is we're just some person's metaverse. Oh man, we're just someone's project. Damn it.
That would get super meta, because then now we're realizing that we're that. So I don't know how that works out. I think we may have just crossed the third frame or third barrier or something.
Government officials at our door or something.
Yeah. Oh man, this is fun. Hey, well, I just took a look at the time.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of going over, so I want to be very respectful of your time. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show today, and for being a part of the show, and also for building everything that you are. Obviously, I'm just a huge fan of everything that you're doing, and I love to see when projects really nail it. So I'm just really glad that you're building everything that you are. So I just want to say thank you.
I appreciate it, and I want to thank you for bringing me on. I've never done something like this before. I just might as well try it. So I'm trying it. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Might have to do it again sometime or something. So
Absolutely. Anytime, anytime. And next time we can do a screen share or something and do some
yeah,
co-op gameplay and have a little fun while we're a little extra fun while we're doing it. That'd be
yeah,
cool.
definitely have to check that out. So yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to say goodbye because I'm bad at them, but I just want to say thank you, truly, for shining light on not only our project but what we discussed with listeners. Being able to hopefully at least one of them just does what they want to do and just does it. So
Right on. All right. Well, thank you. And thank you to everybody watching.